to the Legal Edge podcast. This is your host, Trevor White, and
Shane Smith.
Welcome to today's show. Today's topic is on getting it done, but the conversation we're going to talk around is non-negotiable tasks, right? Non-negotiable. So, Shane, you and I have talked a ton about this. Before we dive in, bro, how are you today?
Doing well, and it's funny. Non-negotiables are supposed to be non-negotiable, right? So that's the key part of them, I think, and that's the hardest part to accept, because, like you and I have spoken in the past, I'm a lawyer. Lawyers are pretty smart. You can usually come up with a reason to convince yourself that your non-negotiable shouldn't be non-negotiable. You got a good reason, right? I mean, so we spent a bunch of time talking about this.
Yeah, for sure. And the crazy part is about non-negotiable is that all of our listeners, we're really good at negotiating. Like that's
right.
kind of what you get paid to do.
It is, yeah.
So it's you believe it or not, though, it's not even those negotiations. It's the tasks that you do inside. And to kick it into the conversation today, like I had this was years ago, but I was kind of struggling and I didn't know why, and I was just struggling with the business, and I couldn't make momentum. I wasn't moving things forward. And so I was like, oh, I need a coach. And I had a mentor who's like, dude, I know somebody you can work with. He's gonna be great. Work with him, work with this guy. So I wired him $15,000 for 6 phone calls.
Yeah.
That was it. It was 6 phone calls. And I sent it to him. I'm very nervous. This guy was he was kind of a big deal, online, social, big presence, and I was very excited to work with him. And so I get into this first conversation. So I'm kind of like, I'm typically like kind of like in charge guy, and then he was definitely in charge guy. And so it was like I had to take the beta role in this conversation with him because I'd hired him, right? So I'm going to listen to what he has to say. It would be silly not to. But he comes to something simple, and this is a really, really dumb thing, but I guarantee I am not the only one who struggles with this. But it's the stupid alarm clock.
Yeah.
Right? What time you wake up in the morning, right? It's like I always said this, like when you go to bed, your pillow tells the truth, and when you wake up in the morning, your pillow is a liar. Like it's 100% that way. So whatever you said to yourself right before you fell asleep at nighttime is usually the truth. Because that's usually when you're declaring, oh, I'm going to crush it tomorrow. I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. tomorrow. I'm going to do blah, blah, fill in the blank, right? But then when the morning comes, now it's a liar. It's like, you don't need to do that. Just stay here, whatever. So I've struggled with this, which is so dumb because of the things I've accomplished in life. But there was still this thing, right, with the alarm clock. So I'm getting in this conversation with him, and we're talking through some other things. And then he just asked me, he's like, dude, what time do you wake up? What time do you wake up in the morning? And I kind of lied. Which is, I didn't mean to lie, but I kind of did in the moment because I'm all 5:30. And sometimes I got up at 5:30, but I am very aware that what I did was I told him I got up at 5:30 as though he understood that to mean all the time, right? It's normal. But no, there was definitely days where it was not 5:30. But I tell him 5:30, and he looks at me and he says, cool, starting tomorrow, you're getting up at 4:30.
Oh.
With stone cold face, he's just like this thing. And I'm like in this place where I just sent this dude 15 grand, right? So I'm looking at, well, let me do some simple math. This conversation that I'm having with him for 30 minutes is costing me a lot of money. So I'm like, my money was on the line, which is what gave me the respect to listen, even his, like all this. So I'm like, 4:30, I'm okay, I'm in. And it was the wildest thing because that next morning, I was like, dude, I have to do this because so my alarm goes off at 4:30 and I'm like, dude, that negotiator in my head, oh, dude, it was like a full-on trial. This was like a criminal trial, the prosecutor and the defense, like it was like pure pandemonium. The conversation was going on inside of my head, and no one else outside would know, but this was the negotiator inside of me. But I got up. And I got up the next day, and I got up the next day. And what's crazy is it took me I would say probably 2 months to where it became normal for me to get up. But what didn't go away was this negotiator. Like he was still trying to negotiate what this is. And that's a simple example of like this non-negotiable. But like I always had to wonder, like, why does it even matter? Right? I looked at that. I'm like, what does it even matter? I'm like, I know you have non-negotiable tasks, right? Things that you do every single day.
I do. I mean, and I think it's a struggle, right? Because in some ways it does matter. But in a lot of ways, it wouldn't matter if you did it tomorrow versus today. Or like, I'm into fitness and I always try to get, 10,000 steps every single day, even on my day off. And clearly you could do 9,000 today and do 11,000 tomorrow, and those are going to average out to 10.
Right.
But what I have found in my own life is as soon as I start negotiating down on that, it's a slippery slope to where then it just goes away, right? Because you just never catch up.
Yep.
Or it starts being every other day there's an issue or something like that, and you don't ever establish any rhythm or momentum, and it doesn't become part of your routine. I mean, I've had phases where, I worked out every day, and even my kids were like, yeah, dad works out. Dad works out every day. And then something happened, and I said, "Nah, man, I haven't worked out in like 3 weeks." And they're like, "What?" It destroyed. You know what I mean? It broke that mold with them. They're like, something must really be wrong, because that was my non-negotiable, right? Working out every day.
Yeah.
So as soon as it goes away, it messes with who you are.
Yeah. Well, dude, and all of a sudden it's not a non-negotiable anymore.
Right.
You were negotiating it because it was a thing you wanted to do. You said you wanted to do it. It took me a while to realize this, but what I understood, we'll go back to the wake up example, just because I already shared that. Like, getting up at 4:30 had nothing to do with getting up at 4:30. That wasn't why I was doing it. That wasn't why my coach wanted me to do it. Like, and he told me this later, and he was like, "Listen, the only reason I wanted you to do that is because I needed to train your mind to do something that had no logical." He's like, because I was getting plenty done at 5:30. Like, I didn't need more time in the morning to get my things done to be ready to go crush my day. I really didn't. I had plenty of time. So getting up at 4:30 was one reason only. It had nothing to do with the time frame. It was, can I do what I don't want to do?
And what you said you were going to do.
Well, and as soon as I declared it, and what I started to realize is he had led me down a road years ago on this path, this idea that if you can train yourself to do what you say you'll do, then it's the alarm clock. Who cares? It's not that big of a deal, right? But when it comes to marketing, will I send a marketing message every day? Will I email every day? Will I, go on social media and do the thing I said I would do? So I started looking and seeing ways that skill of being able to do what you say you will do, it's immeasurable on the results that it actually ends up having in life. Yeah. But it comes down to these basic tasks to train yourself to do what you say you will do. Because most of us suck at that, bro. Like, there's times that I suck at it. Even since that moment, I've come back and I've struggled with the alarm clock. I've let off the gas. Like, I stopped treating it the way I should have been treating it. And I was like, it's fine. I freaking look good. I'm like, because a lot of times I was waking up in the morning going straight to the gym, and I was kind of what you were talking about, right? Yeah. I'm like, I look good. I'm 45. I got a six pack. I'm shredded. I'm 215 pounds. Like, people make comments about my physique everywhere I go, because I live in Hawaii, and so in Hawaii I don't wear a shirt very often, which is amazing. So, like, I love it, but like, so it's just, so I justified, right? It was like this justification as to why not to do it. It's like when it's like when the business is making money, right? You got plenty of lead flow, plenty of clients coming in, but then you stop doing the thing that created that in the first place because you're good. I'm good. I feel good. The business is doing good. And you don't realize that you've become soft. You become like this because you won't do it. You won't do the thing, and you get blinders on, and then it's that day, then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, we're in trouble.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it happens, like you say, in all parts of business, right? Mm-hmm. I see it with lawyers all the time, especially guys that are networkers, right? Who network and they get most of their business from referrals. They'll be banging. They'll go to, they'll start going to lunch with two, 3 people a week, and they'll just go, and suddenly they've got plenty of business. Then business is so good, they quit doing any networking. Yeah. And then leads dry up. And so then they got to, now they don't have the work. So now they're doing networking again. So it goes into this cycle where it's, peak to pit, we use the term peak to pit, where they just go up and down on that. And that leads to one of the huge issues in personal injury work, which is what I do, where your lack of consistency in your money. Yeah. Because lack of consistency in leads leads to lack of consistency in money, which leads to stress usually in your home life and yourself, but definitely in your home life.
Dude, for sure. Well, and you hit it, like, it's feast or famine. And it's right. Because you won't, it's because you don't have, it's because you negotiate. You look around yourself at the world and you allow that evidence to support whether you'll do a certain thing or not do a certain thing.
Right.
Right. Because if I'm fat and out of shape, well, then I need to go to the gym. Because if I want to be in shape, then I need to go to the gym. It's obvious. But once I'm in shape, well, why do I need to go to the gym? All of a sudden, my environment and my circumstances have changed, right? If my company's bringing in a ton of revenue and everything's going well, and I can go on a trip, and I can, I got the sweet car in the garage, and I like everything, like, well, it's great. Well, why do I need to keep doing that? Because tomorrow it doesn't shift. Tomorrow it doesn't change. Well, then I'm fine. I can not market today. I mean, I'm good. I can miss the meeting today. Like, I don't really want to. I want to take Thursday and Friday off, make it like a 5-day weekend. It's a holiday weekend. I'm going to go out to the lake. We're going to do all that. I'm going to do, it's great. It's fine. It's fine. Right. But everything starts dripping down because you put yourself in an environment where your world dictates whether or not you'll be productive, whether you feel like it. Right. And that's another one that becomes intense, especially when things start working or when they stop working. Right, you'll stop to feel. People will look and see for motivation, right? They'll see for this like these outside sources to like feed them. Like there's a YouTube channel. Somebody showed it to me one time. It's like called Motivation University or something like that, which is literally a bunch of YouTube clips that are put together, and they're like an hour-long videos. But there's like an hour-long of just different random clips of motivational speeches, like put together. I'm like, so it's like you're seeking this motivation to go, and that's ridiculous because you don't. If you require motivation, then you're going to be productive about 2 to 5 days out of the month.
I was going to say, what's the new term that's the big thing? Motivation versus discipline, right? And, they're saying discipline wins every time. And I mean, I follow bodybuilding too, and I was listening to one of the big guys. I don't even remember his name, but he said, yeah, I tracked all my numbers, and how I felt, whether I was strong or not, when I went to go work out and lift had no impact at all on my performance. As long as I consistently did it every single day, and it's discipline versus motivation. Waking up at 4:30 is just discipline.
No,
I mean,
well, you know who David Goggins is, yes?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and all our listeners, I can't imagine anyone who doesn't know who he is.
As a matter of fact, I met him a year ago yesterday.
Oh,
at a UFC event. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. What's his aura like in real life? I've never met him.
He was a super nice guy. I mean, he stopped and took pictures with, 25, 30 people. He seemed like a super nice guy is what it was. So it wasn't even the overly intense persona. It was just a nice, approachable guy.
That's cool. He'd be one I would love to have conversations with just because he lives in a league all on his own in this idea of self-discipline and doing what you say you will do just because you said you would do it and going after that. It's like, and having those non-negotiable tasks. But one of the things he said in a podcast with Joe Rogan, I loved it because he's like, listen, people talk about motivation. They even talk about discipline. He's like, screw all that. Just do it. It's just doing it. Nike had it right. Like their slogan was literally the correct. It's just do it. And that, all these dog words that get thrown around that we like seek for, I got to work on my self-discipline, self-toughness. Well, how do you get that? Well, by doing it. Yeah. And it's by doing the things that you don't want to do, right? If I were to look at my day, if any given day, like from my alarm goes off in the morning till I'm putting my head in the pillow to go to bed at night, I'll bet you, if I were to track it, I probably should because it'd be very interesting. But I bet if I tracked it and looked at all of the things I do that I wanted to do versus all the things I did because I chose to do them, even though I didn't want to do them, right? It wasn't like I was excited. I wasn't motivated. it was like, you need to do this, so do it. Right. I'll bet you it's like 95% of what I do is because I said I would do it and because it needs to get done to move forward. It's not because because if I did what I wanted to do, if the version of me, anyway, and I like to look at myself as a pretty damn self-disciplined human being. Right? Just the things I do and the way I go after life. But even in that, if I were to let my natural self just stay, I'm a lazy dude.
I was going to say, you'd be at the beach with your shirt off every day.
That's it. And I would sleep in till whenever, right? And then I would get up and I wouldn't eat healthy. I would eat a cinnamon roll every day, bro. I love cinnamon rolls. Yeah. Love them. Big old tons of cream cheese frosting all up on the top of that. I'm like, that's what I want to eat. And I'll grab that, maybe 2 of them. I'd get some special ones, put some Oreos inside of there, and then I would take those and I would go down to the beach, and then I would be eating those, and at the same time, I'd have the waiter come over, and guess what? I'd also be doing?
Yeah, probably drinking.
Drinking. I'd be getting every kind of alcohol you could possibly think of in little fancy cups with the little umbrellas coming over, and I'd be doing that. And I'd be sitting there until I totally passed out in the day at some point, right? Hopefully somebody put an umbrella on me so I don't get like fried like a lobster, right? And then I'd eventually wake up from that, and then I might sit there, maybe I'd pick up my phone and I would doom scroll.
Yep.
Because that's what I want to do. And then like, dude, I'm sure there's a Netflix show that I could get into. So I think about it, I'm like, how nice would it be just to sit around with no stress, no worry, no pressure? That's what I want to do. But guess how much of that I do every day?
Hopefully not a lot. I'm sure your wife would have a different opinion on what you ought to do all day long.
I'm sure of it. And yeah, if I did any of that all day long, yeah, I wouldn't have a wife.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a wife. I would be like, not. So what I want to do is very rare. I don't want to go to the gym very often. I don't want, like, this sounds interesting, right? Because I'm at the gym every single day, but I don't really want to be there. So now when I'm there, I get fired up and it's fun and I'm glad I went, right? But I don't want to go. The drive to the gym, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Marketing to like, I don't want to sit and write emails every day. I don't want to pick up my damn phone and film marketing videos every single day. I don't want to do that, but I do it because I have to. Like, so, and it's because I choose to. I don't have to. That's the wrong way of saying it. I choose to. And so all of that comes from it starts in these non-negotiables, which for me, it began with somebody looking across the camera from me and saying, guess what time you're waking up tomorrow, asshole?
Yeah.
4:30. And I'm like, 4:30? You should never have an alarm clock that early. There should never be a 4 on your alarm clock when you're waking up in the morning. That is just insanity. What is this? This is ridiculous, right? And then it becomes a spillover. So what are some of your non-negotiables? Like right now, like what are some of the things you operate in that you have seen had impact just in your ability to train yourself this way?
Some of it is I try to structure things so I have somebody else to help me be accountable, and not accountable in like, Shane, you have to do this, but like even our marketing videos, right? With my admin, she's supposed to have a certain number in the bucket. So I tell her, hey, we always need 5 in here so that there's never any issue with posting. And so that's what it is, right? Or one of my non-negotiables is we send out a newsletter every single week to all of our current clients and past clients. So that means I've got to get my stuff to her certainly by end of Tuesday so she can send it out. That's a non-negotiable task that I got to do every single week over and over and over. And if I didn't delegate some of it, put it in place where somebody's job was to get that out, though, I probably would have missed it at some time, just because you forget or whatever. But that's one. I give my wife a card every single day, right? And send my boys a text because they're both in college. So they get a text every single day from me. That's a non-negotiable thing that I do that helps my home life. I'm trying to think at work what a non-negotiable is, but it really just, it's worked in my dang schedule. I mean, not cancel meetings and stuff that I get scheduled up, but
well, you have some of them, right? Because part of the legal edge process, the operating system is on getting real specific targets for the week.
Right. So we do those. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got the targets, but dude, I know you don't negotiate on those.
No, because you got to hit them.
You're not like saying, hey, we're going to do this week as a company, and then you just don't do it.
No.
Or you do it half-ass, or you like partially pull it off.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we identify those targets for the week, because we've talked, we plan out our yearly game, and then we break things down in monthly missions and our weekly targets. And and there have been times where, by golly, if I didn't put it down on my list of things that was going to get done this week, it wouldn't get done, right? Yeah. Where it's Friday afternoon and you're like, oh shit, I thought I did everything, and you go back through and look at your list and you're like, oh crap, I forgot this thing.
Yeah.
And
dude, you just hit on something that's super key, because it's like me waking up in the morning. The habit need to be created, or the negotiation is not necessarily even when I got up and actually physically got up. It's setting the alarm, right? So that the alarm will go off. For you, it's writing it down. It's literally having it in a form that says, not only did I declare it that I'm going to do this thing, but I put it down. So I can track it. I can look at it and be like, okay, and that was it. Because as soon as you put it down, there's this, because you've developed this non-negotiable mentality, it's there.
Yep. And so it's got to get done.
Do it. Like, do I want to do it? Shit, no. Especially when it's Friday at 3 p.m. and you're like, son of a, this is going to take me 2 hours. to
Right.
do this thing. And I was getting ready to check out a little bit early because I was going to be lazy and I was going to go do blah, blah, whatever, right? Whatever the narrative is, or maybe a date night, if something
Oh
comes
yeah,
up.
there's nothing worse than seeing a task and knowing it's 3 hours and you're looking at it saying, shoot, it's time to go home on Friday.
Yeah.
And I told my wife I was going to go to the fair or market with her on Saturday at 10 o'clock. And you're like, well, when is this going to get done? Well, I guess it's going to get done at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., you know. And I've had those meetings, you know, not meetings, but those decisions where you're like, I got it. I said I was going to get this done. I don't want to tell, you know, heck, I don't want to tell my coach. I don't want to tell my peers, hey, I didn't hit it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things about the benefits of being in a mastermind, right? Where you declare your stuff.
Oh,
Because
sure.
you don't want to show up and everybody's like, well, you're the asshole who didn't do what you said you were going to do.
Yeah, one of the clients I was on a call with earlier this week, like he had some clear objectives he needed to accomplish before we met up again. He comes into the meeting with me, and I just asked him point blank, I'm okay, how did it go? My assumption was he did it, right? I assumed this because he said he was going to do it. And guess what? And this is a newer client, so he's trying to figure this out. He comes in, and I see immediately, he didn't do it. He didn't said a word, had not said a word. I said, how did it go? And he just looks at me, and I could tell he was like stammering. He was like trying to find a justification for why he didn't do it and trying to come up with a good reason that he could give me that somehow that I would accept that was the reason that he didn't do what he said he would do. And he starts speaking, and I shut him up. I said, okay, guess what? This call is going to be really short. Go do what you said you were going to do, because until you do that, there is nothing I can do for you. Yeah. Until you're in integrity with yourself and doing the shit you say you will do, nothing you do from this point will work. And the problem was he had justified himself, and he basically lost a week of life. Yeah. Because he didn't actually do it. And so what happened is the week went by, and he did that thing that we all do. Everyone does it. We all fall victim to this. You screw up on it could be like you screw up on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
Like, damn it, I screwed up. I said I was going to do this every day, and I didn't do it. Or I'm so far behind, and this is what happened. This was the story he told me. I was so far behind because I was like, oh, I'm gonna get caught up. I'm gonna get caught up. And then by Wednesday, he was so far behind. His justification was, I'll start again Monday. Yep. I'm like, bro, do you listen to what the hell you just said to yourself? Like, and there's like, let me ask you, Shane, how much success can a human being have in business if your mindset allows you to do that?
Oh, it drives me absolutely crazy when I talk to, I'm going to say lawyers, because that's usually who I'm talking to about this particular issue. And not only is there no sense of urgency, but nothing ever gets done. And that's where I see this huge trial lawyers in particular, you know, a well-run shop, they do everything according to a schedule. On a not well-run shop, they deal with fires, and everything's a fire. So they're always behind. They're dealing with the fire that's due today, but if they dealt with it a month ago, then they could stay ahead of everything. But instead, everything's last-minute urgency because, like you say, they negotiate everything, or they plan to catch up, or they put it off till Monday. No. You know, and I used to train a lot of my case managers or my paralegals. You know, I'd say, you know, when you get that terrible, eat the ugly frog first is the phrase we use, right? And if you've got something unpleasant, do that first thing so you don't put it off. So it doesn't also ruin your day. I mean, we've probably all had that task that we dreaded for a week or two. And then when you sit down to do it, it takes 30 minutes. And you're like, dude, I've thought about this for what, hours? Yeah. And I knocked it out in 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the crazy part is when it's somebody no different than our client I was talking to, and no different than your paralegals or case managers, they feel busy. So you get to the end of the week and they feel like they did something. They're like, but then when you look at it, they didn't actually do anything that was going to move the needle forward.
They didn't move the needle. They didn't push the business forward.
Maintained. It was maintained at the status quo. So week over week, it's not like you all of a sudden destroyed, but there's no growth happening there. This right here, dude, what we're talking about, I'm telling you, this is why most firms cannot scale.
100%.
Right here. I mean, if you were able to take anything away from today's show, it's the fact that if you can get this, and it's not about the specific action, it doesn't matter. You could be an idiot. You could be pretty dumb. Like literally, you don't have to be intelligent to figure this out, meaning you can have great success and not be the smartest guy in the room. You don't have to be. That's not required. So the action, it's can you do what you say you will do with a clear map and a plan moving forward, so that every single week you never allow yourself to get to a Friday afternoon and you didn't build anything, meaning you didn't grow. All you did was handle the fires that you're talking about. Like it's 100% true. Because if your world's burning down and there's a fire in front of you, well, yeah, you probably should get a fire extinguisher and deal with that. But if that's all you're doing, you're reacting to everyone else and everything else, and new fires will just keep showing up because you can't give attention to the things that are going to actually stop the fire from happening.
Now, I mean, I get junior lawyers that come to me, and they're always, because we run our firm by reports, and they're always on the bad list, is what I would say. Because, and when you talk to them, they're like, well, I'm trying to be more efficient, so I try to do all of this on this day and hammer through this one task, but do a whole bunch of it. And I'm like, yeah, but then you ignored everything else. And then tomorrow you got to do all this, but you're already in trouble because you're past our SOP on when this needs to take place, or you got angry clients, and all because, and they do this, like you say, feast or famine, you know, and it just piles up, and then they never get ahead because they're always behind.
Yep.
And I'm like, if you would just catch up and work on tomorrow's stuff on tomorrow when you're supposed to, instead of doing stuff from 3 days ago, you could succeed. But
and the hard part is they're not bad people. We're not bad people. It's just the natural default of what we do. And this is where this is the single greatest move that the legal edge has had. This is what the impact it had for you to go from where you were to where you're at now. No different in my life. Same exact thing. It's to build to getting this idea and being able to just implement and being able to connect the dots that me getting up at 4:30 in the morning had direct impact on my bank account. Direct impact. Right? And if you can't see or connect that, it's just because you don't understand how this works. You don't understand the game. I didn't for many years. I didn't get it at all. I mean, I thought I was like everybody else out there, right? And
yeah, or they, like you say, they negotiate with themselves. So you come up with all the reasons why you couldn't do it anyway. And there's like lots of, I mean, even 10,000 steps. It's simple, right? Yep. Everybody can do it unless you're in a wheelchair. But I mean, but we can all find reasons why we can't do it, right? Like Wednesday is my meeting day, which always means I have to walk a lot at night. But I still do, because that's one of my non-negotiables. Because I know if I don't do it then Friday comes or Saturday comes and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do it. So it's just a slippery slope. I mean, I think when you say what you're going to do and you do it, you train yourself that you're going to do what you say. And as soon as you start negotiating down, you're training yourself that it doesn't matter what you say. Yeah. And it messes up with all of that productivity stuff. I mean, 100%.
100%. It screws it all up, and you don't even see it. You don't even know it. Like the only indicators or signs of it are the fact that you don't have growth.
And business and law firm owners, you've always got a fire to put out. So if you only concentrate on fires, you will never get ahead. You'll never grow. You'll never have time to plan. You'll be the same 5 years from now.
Yeah, this is what's so crazy. It's not that people get stuck because they don't know what to do. It's that they don't have a frame to do it. Right? Every one of you listening, you, Shane, me, we know what we need to do to become better in our business, better in the firm, better anything. We know what we need to do, but that is a drastic difference between actually having a frame to be able to follow that, especially in a high stressed, intense environment, which is the legal field. Right. You're already dealing with fire nonstop. And so if that's it, then you're going to sit there and you'll get a little bit of success because you're a hustler. And then when you get that success, you'll get stuck. It'll be like your feet are so wedged into the ground. You got shackles on that are shackling you to the concrete floor. But you're trying to grow. Trying's bullshit. You either do it or you don't. But you're trying to grow, and you just can't. And you can't figure it out because you're like, well, I can't invent more time in the day. Right? I'm already putting in all these crazy hours, but I'm stuck here. So maybe this is just my lot in life. Maybe this is just the way it's supposed to be. And that's like the most tragic thing for me when I meet somebody that works with us the very first time, and they come into our ecosphere, and I'm like, dude, they're so stuck. They don't see it. They can't see it, but they've succumbed to an average mediocre existence for themselves. Like they've just given up, but they didn't. They didn't give up, but they did give up. There's like they don't know what to do. And so that it's like, I'm just, right? It's like there's this chaos moment. And it's almost like, dude, as you come in to slap them, you're like, dude, shake them a little bit.
Yeah.
Help them see, break free so they can start to see some of these, to see this error.
Yeah.
But it really does begin with this negotiation phase, right? It really does. So as we wrap today, Shane, what are final thoughts you have on everybody when it comes to their non-negotiables?
Yeah, the key thing too, I see when I see new people in this area is they try to come up with a list of like 10 things they're not going to negotiate on, right? Or they overcommit, and then like you say, then they'll mess up on Wednesday, so they say screw the week, I'll start again on Monday.
Yeah.
And I'd say keep it small, right? And well, heck, it's like when I talk to people and they give me a list of 10 or 15 things they're going to do in their business this week, and I'm like, dude, that looks like a whole lot of work to me. Yeah. Why don't we commit to doing 3 things this week, or 4, not 15, and so I would say it's better to have a small list of non-negotiables than it is a big list of things that you think are non-negotiables, because you're never going to be able to maintain that. I mean,
no, everybody tries to hit grand slams.
Yeah.
Everybody does, because that's cool. It's fun to watch. You go to the game, you hit a grand slam, people cheer, and it's like exciting. It's like, wow.
And it sounds impressive, right? I mean, yeah.
And you get this big, massive result, and so everybody's like patting you on the back, and you're like, dude, I'm the greatest who's ever lived, right? But really, how many times do you remember somebody getting a single?
Yeah.
Base hit.
No.
We don't even care about it. Literally, don't. You think about it from a baseball standpoint, ain't a fan. If somebody gets a base hit, we're like, hey, good job. What's next?
Yeah, no, I increased my bench 1 year, and all I did was every week I added a 1 pound weight to, or 1 pound on each side kind of deal. Because I read that somewhere. There's nothing impressive about that at all, going up 2 pounds from week to week. But it was a phenomenal year. I increased a whole bunch on my bench that year just by consistently doing it.
Yeah, and that's the key. So if you give yourself too much, you're screwed. So take a look at your world across body, being, balance, and business. Like, look in what we call the core 4, right? There's 4 different domains that make up your world. But look in that. Look in the areas of your life. Where right now can you implement one non-negotiable? Just pick freaking one. Like, if you've never even operated under this premise, then pick one. Maybe it's the alarm clock. That's what it was for me. That's what got me started. Now I have many non-negotiables. But like, what's your one thing you're going to choose to do for no other reason than you're choosing to do it? Right, Shane, you'd mentioned writing your wife a card every day.
Yep.
Maybe that's what it is. Right? Maybe it's a relationship you need to mend, or you need to invest in this relationship. Maybe it's in your body. Right? Maybe it's like, dude, I'm just going to do my non-negotiable. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, 10 air squats. That's it. I'm not going to walk 10,000 steps. My non-negotiable, I'm going to get 5,000 in. Because right now I'm getting in none. Right. So I'm going to get 1,000 in. Because right now I'm getting in none. Simple. Right? I love the statement. Keep it simple, stupid. Right? Just keep it simple. Stop trying to overcomplicate it because you're so damn smart. Take your smartness and throw it away and realize that you're not smart at this. Do one thing. So choose that thing. So once you've found the domain and you found that action item, truly commit. Like, truly commit to yourself that you're going to do this. And if you screw it up, guess what? Well, that's fine. Guess what you do now? You just recommit.
Just recommit the next day. Yeah.
Yep. You keep going. You keep going in that non-negotiable. You start to develop this part of who you are. And this is the first step, right? This is the first step. Obviously, we can't cover everything you need to do in this quick little 30-minute podcast, but this at least gets you the groundwork to understand the mindset that has to exist in it. So if you've got value from today's show, share it up. Share it up with somebody you know who also is in a position where non-negotiable tasks would serve them, or even looking at this mindset. Maybe they're stuck in growth. Maybe it's another colleague of yours that you're like, dude, this guy or this girl, they seem like they're spinning their wheels, right? Share this show up with them so they can get some value from it as well. Also, if you're watching this here on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like and a subscribe. We appreciate that as well. And as always, we're here to just add value and to kind of just share our stories about what we've done with you so that you can be able to implement those realms in the world. If you want to get involved in any of our coaching, head over to legaledgecoaching.com where you get a conversation started with myself and Shane on how you can kind of become the badass that you've always wanted to be. So that's all we got for you guys. Have a fantastic rest of your day. This is Trevor White signing off.
Talk to you later, guys.